In the news tonight, we have all the latest from Budget Night. It's hard times, says Economy Minister. And later, an hour remains before the big test.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Edwin Nunn.
Ulawanaka, Fiji. The government has announced an expansionary budget to assist vulnerable Fijians while providing an enabling environment for struggling businesses. Social assistance programs have been maintained or enhanced in the 2021-2022 national budget, with additional tax breaks and loan schemes coming into play for commercial sector. It's a prudent budget that doesn't burden taxpayers and tries where possible to cushion the financial burden on low-income families. The budget contains a comprehensive list of relief measures for average families, the jobless, and businesses large and small. Some key announcements include $200 million in unemployment benefits for those in the formal and informal sector. Starting August 1st, every affected Fijian will be entitled to a monthly allowance of $120 for 6 months in 2 lump sum payments. The first payout will be done next month, estimated at around $100 million, with the second due in November. The catch is eligible individuals must have had their first and second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine in order to receive the respective payouts. No jabs, no assistance. The government will continue to subsidize water and electricity costs for eligible Fijians, with 92,000 litres of free water for households earning less than $30,000 a year. From next month until January, the government will pay the electricity bills of about 50,000 households at a cost of $11 million. Subsidized domestic customers will get 6 weeks to pay their electricity bill without disconnection. $120 million is set aside for the Poverty Benefit Scheme, including child protection, disability allowance, social pension, and a host of other programs, assisting more than 130,000 vulnerable Fijians. $403 million goes directly to the Ministry of Health to beef up resources. It will hire 238 intern nurses, 140 medical interns, 10 nurse practitioners, 43 midwives, and 114 doctors. $25 million is specifically for COVID-19 response for testing, isolation, quarantine, and vaccination drive. Additional funding is for oxygen supplies and other essential medical equipment. Infrastructure development has not been ignored, with $500 million going towards upgrading, modernizing, and expanding the road network and the provision of clean and safe drinking water and electricity. The Fiji Roads Authority gets $272 million, while $195 million goes to the Water Authority of Fiji. Tax holidays for new tourism investment, renovation and refurbishment also continue. The government has also taken on the cost of fees and charges for a number of public services, including police clearance reports, biosecurity fees, land surveyors fees, medical report fees, and $2.5 million to pay base fees for taxis, minibuses, carriers, and buses. The list of concessions go on and on, but in all of this, the Minister for Economy has sounded a warning. If Fiji does not reach its vaccination target in 6 months, borders don't reopen, and the economy does not improve, the budget will be reviewed, and where necessary, allocations will be reduced. This includes civil service salaries, which have remained intact for more than a year, despite government revenue taking a hit. And the Minister for Economy says it's tough times, which call for best measures for Fiji and her people. The government has forecast a revenue for the new financial year at $2.8 billion compared to $1.6 billion for the last financial year. Tax revenue for the new year is set at $1.59 billion, which is 45% lower than pre-COVID levels. Kritika Kumar reports government is also carrying forward a cash balance of around $150 million.
Economy Minister Yaset Kyun says there is a lot of uncertainty with the impact of COVID-19.
There is nothing ordinary, Mr. Speaker, sir, about our lives at this moment. Never has our personal well-being and the health of our economy been more intertwined. And so this will not be an ordinary budget.
With the Delta variant wrecking the Fijian economy and affecting Fijians, Seth Kiyum says Fiji is facing a tough crisis.
Given that we still lack the luxury of complete certainty, we have adopted the same conservative revenue estimation strategy as last year. The downside, once again, is a high projected level of debt. We have to make such projections because we could indeed have high debt levels next year if our economy does not fully reopen. And we want to be fully transparent about the consequences of that worst-case scenario.
He goes on to say the pandemic has rattled everyone.
This pandemic has stolen jobs and precious life. It has kept families apart in times of celebration and sadness. It has crippled industries built through strong vision and years of steady investment. And the arrival of the more virulent variants has sent its devastating toll to painful new heights.
Seth Kiyum adds that Fiji needs its eligible population to get vaccinated if we are to reshape the economy. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
$200 million has been allocated for unemployment income support to Fijians affected by COVID-19 in the formal and informal sector. However, eligible Fijians now have at least 3 weeks to ensure that they get at least the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine in order to qualify for government aid. Kritika Kumar reports.
Starting 1st August 2021, every affected Fijian will be entitled to a monthly allowance of $120 for 6 months, which will be paid in 2 lump sum payments.
We will make the second payment of $360 in November to eligible Fijians provided they are fully vaccinated by 31 October, with a total estimated payout of an additional $100 million.
Seth Kiyum adds individuals will be required to apply for this assistance and payouts will be made using M-Pesa and MyCash platforms.
It will also be mandatory for applicants to provide their birth certificate registration number and their tax identification number apart from other details. Mr. Speaker said this is necessary because assistance is being paid out on an individual basis.
Economist Dr. Rohit Kishore has commended the government for the bold budget.
It's a good budget. It's a COVID response growth budget. And I must say, the job initiative budget.
The earlier initiative where unemployed Fijians were eligible for $220 fortnightly payout from Fiji National Provident Fund will continue for members with sufficient general account balances. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
And to our latest COVID-19 update, Fiji recorded 1,405 new infections, a daily high since the outbreak started in April for the period ending 8 a.m. yesterday. The Health Ministry has recorded 6 deaths between July 12th and the 15th. Fiji has recorded 15,221 cases since April of this year. There are now 11,959 active cases in isolation, with 3,218 recoveries in total. The COVID-19 death toll stands at 80. The vaccination campaign also continues around the country. As of this afternoon, 391,363 or 66.7% of the population have received their first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine. 77,610 or 13.2% have received the second dose. The 5 most vaccinated areas include Mba, Rewa and Nanonga provinces, Nandi and Lotoka. Up ahead, Northerners have their say on budget. And Fiji gets Moderna vaccine. Welcome back. Fijian businesses will soon be able to access loans from commercial banks, the Fijian Development Bank and other licensed credit institutions. Minister for Economy Seth Kiyum announced a working capital support of $200 million in the form of loans to help Fijian businesses meet their operational needs. Eleanor Turangaivi reports this is welcome news for businesses in the Northern Division.
Under the loan facility, government will fully subsidize borrowers' interest costs for the first 2 years, with an allocation of $8 million in the new financial year and another $8 million in the next budget.
A lot of them are facing difficulties that lack of cash flows now. At least one side is open. We can get that loan which will be guaranteed by the government.
Existing micro businesses are eligible for a maximum $10,000 loan, small businesses for a $20,000 loan, medium-sized businesses can take a maximum $50,000 loan, and large businesses can access up to $100,000 in loans.
I think this will, be good to our economy. It will enhance economic activity.
The Reserve Bank of Fiji will provide the funding at a rate of 0.25% to financial institutions, and these financial institutions can lend these funds at a maximum rate of 3.99%.
So you can invest more or can run the business in a proper way. So it's for the big, small and medium and large businesses. So that's a very good incentive given to the business community too.
Government through the RBF will guarantee the loans, and close to 20,000 businesses stand to benefit from this loan facility. Eleanor Turangayvio, FBC News.
And $120 million has been set aside for social protection initiatives. These include the Poverty Benefit Scheme, Child Protection Allowance Program, Disability Allowance Program, Social Pension Scheme and bus fare subsidy for the elderly and disabled to assist more than 130,000 vulnerable Fijians. Minister for Economy Aya Said Kayum says the overall funding for social protection initiatives has been reduced by $4.2 million compared to the 2020-2021 financial year. However, he says this isn't because the government is scaling down, but they are smartening up their controls, streamlines and delivery of assistance.
Through robust audits of recipients, we're making sure assistance reaches the people who really need it, so we can weed out bad actors who try to receive payments despite graduating to a higher level of income, or people who claim benefits in the name of someone who has in fact passed away, or those who simply are receiving payments from more than one assistance stream.
The government has announced some changes to the Tertiary Education and Loan Scheme. Effective from the next financial year, the government will introduce means testing for applicants. Minister for Economy Aya Said Kayum says TELS will only be provided to students from families with household incomes of less than $100,000. All recipients above the age of 18 must also be fully vaccinated, and the minimum entry mark has been raised to 280 in the new academic year. For study areas where there is currently an oversupply of graduates, the eligibility mark will be increased to 300 for year 13. Students will also be entitled to monthly allowance of $100 top-up on what is already being provided by employers. The government is also introducing a new stream of TELS with 5,000 placements available for TVET courses at FNU. Last year, TELS for MBBS was suspended given the oversupply of doctors and expected number of graduates who were funded earlier.
All MBBS students that privately enrolled with a minimum year 13 mark of 340, first year GPA of 3.0 or more, and family income below $100,000 will be eligible for a one-off payment of $10,000.
The Moderna vaccine for COVID-19 is expected to be rolled out from Monday. More than 150,000 doses arrived from the United States of America under the COVAX facility last night. Felipe Naikaso has the details.
The Moderna doses will definitely boost Fiji's vaccination rate in the hopes of getting things back to normal.
We're anticipating to vaccinate about that 75,040 individuals with this Moderna vaccine within a period of a month with both doses, not just one, but with both doses.
These vaccines will be administered to pregnant mothers and also Fijians above the age of 60 who are living within the Suvarnasori corridor.
So we're seeing a number of it in the of cases within the Suvarnasori corridor. Thus, we're targeting that space for now. So we do intend to target the vulnerable.
Those who will receive the Moderna vaccine will be fully immunized within 28 days.
We expect either perhaps Moderna or perhaps even Pfizer later in the future. So President Biden announced that he was going to donate 500 million doses of Pfizer to the COVAX facility for distribution. So we expect some of those vaccines to arrive in Fiji either later this year or early next year.
Apart from the vaccines being donated, the United States has also assisted Fiji by providing medical supplies to fight the pandemic. Felipe Naikaso, FBC News.
Ahead in sports, stage set for massive test. And Olympics has more restrictions announced. Welcome back. The intensity of tonight's second test match against the All Blacks will be higher compared to last Saturday. Flying Fijians head coach Vern Cotter and captain Leone Nakarawa are both confident the national side can improve. Aquila Dama has the details.
3, 2,
It's game day and the Flying Fijians coaching staff believe they've got all things covered in the last few days.
There's two things. There's things we need to improve for ourselves, and then we're anticipating that the All Blacks will probably challenge us in different areas and in different ways this weekend. So just waking up to perhaps certain strategies they might put in place.
Fiji dominated the breakdown in the first test, but they were also exposed in that area.
We still want to be competitive in that area. Different field, different conditions perhaps this weekend. We'll adapt and adjust to what we need to do to defend well, look for those turnovers, but also not give away penalties.
For the skipper, tonight's second test may just open another door of opportunity for the side.
They played a very physical and a quick game, so I think that's what a tiny nation like Fiji needs, to play a lot of test match with this kind of big team, so that we can learn as we go along.
The Flying Fijians will take on the All Blacks at 7:05 p.m. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
Many players were mentioned and praised for their performance against the All Blacks. For Flying Fijians hooker Sam Matavesi, one of the unsung heroes last weekend was Pini Ravai. Matavesi believes Ravai is one of the best in the business and expects him to set the platform again for the loose forwards tonight.
People are working hard, and we've got in Frank Lamani and some other key players. So, I think people like Frank are going to add a massive boost. But last week means nothing if we can't work hard this week and have the same and more. 100%. I think in off front row there's a lot of good balance. Especially with the beast Penny. He loves to carry the ball, and then me and Messi will just let him do that, and we'll help him do everything else.
And the Flying Fijians will run out tonight, knowing that thousands of Fijians here at home will be watching and cheering compared to last weekend after the Fijian Broadcasting Corporation secured rights to air the match live and exclusive on its free-to-air channel. Fans have taken to social media to air their appreciation. As Aquila Dama reports, some fans were out and about today, stocking up on kava and chaser for the special match.
This is very good from the Fijian pack.
This performance inspired the nation. Even fans from the north can't wait to support the team and at the same time thankful for FBC's timely assistance.
Last week, we were watching the game on our phone from those going live on Facebook. With FBC providing the live coverage of the game tonight, we will be watching from the comfort of our own homes, no social gathering.
Good initiative from FBC that people will be staying at their own home and watching this game.
It is a good initiative by FBC because we all love to watch rugby, and with the COVID rules in place, it's really good. Thank you, FBC.
For some fans, they are just thankful they'll avoid social gatherings, and for others, they won't pay anything and don't have to look for live videos on Facebook like last week.
Especially what we're going through now, and for us to have the chance to watch the Fiji team playing against one of the best, I think that's one of the best things for the weekend for everybody. Yeah.
It's good FBC have bought the game live. Now I don't have to go anywhere else, but can watch it from home. Unaka FBC?
Like it's a free channel and it's very easy for people to access, and also we don't have to pay money for it.
Whether we are watching here at home or at FMG Stadium in Hamilton, everything will be forgotten for just 1.5 hours tonight. Aquila Vama, FBC Sports.
Fiji Mbati stars Micah Sivo and Wanga Blake couldn't score last night but helped the Eels beat the Titans 26-8 in round 18 of the NRL. A new restriction has been added to the Olympic experience in Tokyo. Almost every public event surrounding the games in the city has already been cancelled, and now sources say an iconic site will be off limits too. Mostly cloudy and windy conditions prevailed over most parts of the country today. In the west, mainly fine apart from afternoon or evening showers. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, partly cloudy and windy conditions with brief showers. In the north, clear skies with cool temperatures. At sea, moderate to fresh east to southeast winds, rough seas. Turning to the tides, the next high tide is at 33 minutes past midnight with low tide at 6:15 a.m. Sunrise will be at 6:37. For tomorrow, cloudy periods with brief showers over Vanua Levu, Taviuni, Lau Group, eastern parts and interior of Viti Levu. Elsewhere, mainly fine, cool nights. Looking further on to Monday, much of the same conditions to continue. And recapping our main stories, we have all the latest from Budget Night. It's hard times, says Minister for Economy, and Fiji and All Blacks match set to kick off. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. To our poll question, this week we are asking, do you agree with the no jab, no job policy? Visit our FBC News website to answer, and you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos. Email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our social media accounts. You can also download our FBC app to keep updated with the very latest in news and sports and listen to our 6 radio stations live. That's your news this evening. I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe. Modemanda.